stuff I thought I knew.
Yeah.
You know, I to a great extent, you know, I was, you know, lived all my life in the so-called West and accepted many of the fairy tales that we were told, and that, you know, I grew up in a period when World War II was the dominant cultural narrative or phenomenon, and everything was World War II movies and World War II stories, and then
and there was a reason for that as well, you know, because there was a lot of truth in it, and
sure, of course,
you know, and so that means that, you know, that's the reason that these imperialist powers have used these narratives, because they are so powerful and they sort of twisted them into their interests.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. You know, of course, like, you know, it was so easy because it was, you know, it was good versus evil when you look at it in terms of the European continent and Hitler. But the story we were not told and were never taught was, well, you know, Churchill was Hitler to the people of Iraq and India.
Exactly.
Britain was Hitler to the people of Africa. Germany was Hitler to the people of Namibia long before Hitler was even born, or when Hitler was in in
Belgium carried out a Holocaust.
So you know, the good after World War II, when, you know, the so-called good guys won, what were the French doing in Algeria? What were the Dutch doing in Indonesia? These parts of the story, you know, if you only look at Europe, you can tell a simple tale of good versus evil. When you look at it from a more global perspective, it's not quite such a clean picture. But what I want to say is, it took me a long time to unlearn some of this. I think back to when I was in university at the time of the 1990-91 Gulf War, when it was the same kind of propaganda, it was the same kind of war fever, and we've seen that again and again. We saw it with Yugoslavia in the 1990s, with Iraq again, with Afghanistan, with Libya. You know, catastrophe after destructive catastrophe with Syria, where the West fought.
There's a lot of parallels between Ukraine and Syria. You know, the moderate
dirty proxy war.
Instead of moderate rebels, we're now seeing moderate Nazis.
Right.
Exactly. So, you know, all that is to say that, you know, I don't have a magic formula, but I do think that people have to be willing to be skeptical, willing to question. And I acknowledge how difficult it is in this information environment where we are being flooded and bombarded with propaganda. I've never seen the media more propagandistic. The BBC, which I grew up listening to,